it's Ev, and this is going to be a video about my gender dysphoria. So I'm a trans guy, I transitioned from female to male. Gender dysphoria is basically the uncomfortable feelings and like disconnect surrounding like body parts, like my old name, stuff that's gendered. It comes in like many different forms and I feel it in kind of different ways. Like the dysphoria I feel surrounding my birth name is different. The dysphoria I feel surrounding my genitals, and I'm just going to talk about that just in general. Firstly, gender dysphoria, like for those of us that have it, I really think it is different for everyone. I've heard a lot of people describe their dysphoria as like wanting to rip their skin off, feeling trapped in the wrong body, being unbearable, not being able to look at themselves naked and stuff like that. And I fully believe other people feel like that. But for me, I've never felt like that. I don't feel like I'm trapped in my body. I've just never had a thing that I would put into those words. And also, I've never had an issue with looking at myself naked. Even though I do feel a lot of dysphoria, like sometimes really intense dysphoria, looking at myself naked has never been an issue. I've heard other people saying like, oh, my dysphoria is so bad that I can't do this, so if you can do it, then you don't have dysphoria. And that's not how it works, because it's different for everyone. Like, I can't say my birth name without feeling extremely uncomfortable, but if another trans guy is able to say theirs, that doesn't mean that they're not as valid, that they're not a real trans guy, that I'm the only real trans guy. Before top surgery, I could actually look at my chest, and like just looking at it didn't make me uncomfortable, because it's not like really the visual that's the issue for me. But now, like, I'm like so happy with it being flat. The dysphoria I felt about my chest, which I have had top surgery now, so yeah, I don't have any dysphoria on my chest anymore, but the dysphoria I used to feel, it was mostly like a disconnect more than like an intense, like I never felt like a hatred towards my chest, which I know a lot of trans guys do feel towards their chests. It's mostly a disconnect, and I just felt strongly like it wasn't meant to be like that, and I feel much better now that it is flat. Whereas the dysphoria I feel around my genitals, which I say genitals because that's just the word I prefer to use, but like I can say the word vagina, I can say I have a vagina, and that sentence, just saying it doesn't make me uncomfortable, and like I can look at myself and I don't feel that uncomfortable. It's more that I just really feel like there's something missing, like an intense, sometimes that feeling is like really intense and uncomfortable, and I feel really dysphoric about not having a dick. That kind of dysphoria is more discomfort. Sometimes for me, my dysphoria feels like an intense discomfort, sometimes it feels more like a disconnect. But actually sometimes it feels like a mixture of the two. If someone were to call me my birth name, or she, her, I feel like completely disconnected from that, and also extremely uncomfortable. But yeah, for a while I worried because I heard other guys explaining their dysphoria as feeling trapped in the wrong body, feeling like they want to rip their skin off, feeling a hatred towards their body. And because I don't relate to any of those three things at all, I felt like I must not have dysphoria. I didn't know that it could just be that I experience it differently. Yeah, and I worried like, am I faking being trans? Like when I was first figuring myself out, yeah, I felt like to be trans then I would have to hate my body, and because I don't hate my body, I must be faking it. And that's really not the case, that's not how it is. Like, now that I'm pretty far in my transition, like I know that now, I know that my dysphoria is just different to what a lot of people say theirs is like. My dysphoria is sometimes quite intense, but I definitely have heard a lot of people talk about theirs, and I think, wow, like I'm quite lucky my dysphoria isn't that bad. Like, it's never been so bad that I've been unable to leave the house. I think as well, a lot of the time, the way I dealt with my dysphoria, like, towards my chest, like I just like wouldn't think about it too much. I just wouldn't acknowledge it, or I felt quite disconnected to it, but I suppose I just sort of never dealt with those feelings. And I think maybe when I feel like a disconnect, like when I felt a disconnect from my chest, maybe that was just like my brain like having like a coping mechanism, so I didn't feel such a discomfort and disgust for it. Before I had top surgery, most of the time I wouldn't wear a binder because I didn't feel the need to, and I know that is probably something that would get me called a transgender, but like, yeah. Also, there's social dysphoria and physical dysphoria. Physical dysphoria is like how I feel towards my genitals and the fact I don't have a penis. That's completely physical dysphoria. I physically feel like I have something missing, but if I'm talking to my friends and they know I don't have a dick, and I could say, like, make a joke about how I have a vagina or something, that doesn't make me dysphoric, because I don't have any social dysphoria about it. But like, yeah, when I had boobs, I had a lot of social dysphoria. Like, if someone were to acknowledge that I had them, even when I was like 11, like if someone pointed out they could see my bra strap or something, I felt so like disgusted and anxious and awful. But then, and I did also have some physical dysphoria surrounding my chest, but a lot of it was social. So some things you have just social dysphoria, sometimes you have physical dysphoria, sometimes you have a mixture of both. Well, I say you, I mean me. But it's the same as, like, sometimes my dysphoria comes in the form of feeling like disassociated and disconnected. Sometimes it's like an intense discomfort, sometimes it's a mixture. Now that I'm coming up to like 2 years on T, I've had top surgery, a lot of things I was dysphoric about are sort of better now, and a lot of things I realised I was dysphoric about which I didn't even acknowledge at the time. Like things T has changed has made me feel better about, I didn't even know I felt bad about in the first place. But yeah, the only things left that I feel dysphoric about are dysphoria and my hips, which I hate my hips because they're very like curvy, but maybe testosterone will make my body fat redistribute, but if it doesn't, I can deal with it. In terms of lower dysphoria, I do want to get lower surgery. I don't know for 100% that I'm going to do it in case like I'm not brave enough or something, but I definitely want to like go forward and at least have a consultation and stuff. Definitely something I'm interested in. I think that will probably be the biggest thing to help my dysphoria, because like I can pack. Packing helps a little bit for like a short period of time, but it never really solves it. And the thing I have the most dysphoria about is my lower dysphoria, which is like the hardest thing to solve, because like lower surgery is a huge big deal. For me, top surgery was like really easy. It wasn't like a hard experience, and taking testosterone, like getting injected with it, hurts a bit, but it's not like a huge big deal. I know a lot of trans guys don't feel the need to have lower surgery, and that's completely valid, but for me, like I definitely feel the need to have it. Also, another thing is like my internal organs, and I don't get periods anymore because I take testosterone, but occasionally I have like a bit of spotting or a bit of pain and stuff. That makes me extremely dysphoric, so I definitely want some of those parts worked out. I've heard some trans guys, they don't like saying the words for the parts they have, which is completely fine, valid, but yeah. So instead they say like my junk, my T-dick and stuff. For me, if I were to call my parts that, it would feel more uncomfortable than just saying... Usually I just say like genitals or vagina and clitoris, I just say the actual words for things. I feel like if I had been more open about how my dysphoria isn't like a lot of trans guys' dysphoria, and how it's not as bad in some areas, I feel like I probably would have been labelled a transgender, especially like if I was just starting to transition now, because everyone's calling everyone a transgender these days. Yeah, and like I said, I was worried that I was faking it, but now I know, like, I'm not faking it. I'm definitely a guy, and transitioning has made me so much more mentally healthy and happier, and I can function more as a person now. I just feel so much better in myself, and yeah, like now I know for sure it was the right decision. But like a lot of things like my voice dysphoria, my chest dysphoria, body hair and stuff, now that that's all solved, it kind of highlights more how bad my lower dysphoria is. Because that's kind of one of the only things I have left to focus on. Anyway, this was just a ramble about my dysphoria. Not any particular point to it other than everyone's dysphoria is different. Well, everyone that has dysphoria. Obviously not everyone in the world has gender dysphoria. But yeah, leave any comments, any questions you have or anything. Leave a thumbs up, please. And subscribe. And don't unsubscribe. Bye.